instructions it says to stitch for about 3/8 of an inch sticking out from behind your presser foot. But I want my binding to be about partway down on my quilt, not at the edge. Place your quilt underneath and just keep pushing it and feeding it. Just keep feeding it till you get to your starting position. Your binding should pretty much be in place, and then you can start stitching. You want to keep your quilt into the fold here. Sometimes it's helpful to use two hands when guiding the quilt through the binder just to ensure that it stays really close here. I like to use two hands and because of the weight of the quilt, just to keep it moving. Okay, so we're coming up to the corner. So you're going to stop your stitching as soon as you get to the edge of your quilt. You're going to stop when that part just gets stitched. You're going to pull your quilt out. Try not move it too far away from your binder. You want a long needle tail. A long bobbin tail. And now you're going to create your mitered corners. And remember how you put your pins in, because you need to take those out just as you start stitching. So there's my first pin, and then I'm going to do my back. Okay, so that's pinned. My front is pinned. And now I have to push this back underneath the presser foot. And as I'm pushing it underneath the presser foot, I'm pulling on my binding to take up the slack through the quilt binder. So I'm pulling to take up the slack. Push it under the presser foot. And you want to drag the binding back through just to make sure that it's still doing its rolling thing that it's doing. There we go. And you want to just get it in place. Lower your presser foot. Put your needle down into your fabric. Make sure all your threads are clear. Remove your pins from the front and from the back. They don't go through the binder so well. And away you go. You might want to, you'll hang on to those tails that you created at the back to help your quilt through. And there we go. We'll sew for a little bit so I can get enough going through so that I can show you the mitered corner on the back. So there's those long tails that you created when you created the miter. So you're going to thread one end onto a hand sewing needle, and you're just going to stitch your mitered close, doing it using a blind stitch. And do this back and front. There you go. I just want to show you the decorative stitches. That's the beauty of the quilt binder set, is that you can use the decorative stitches built into your machine other than the straight stitch. It's just a lot more fun. Okay, so we're coming up to the corner. And you're going to stitch right just to the edge of your quilt. You're not going to back stitch. You're just going to stop, needle up, and you're going to pull your quilt just out from underneath the presser foot. Try not pull it too far away from your binder, and you want to create a long tail of thread with your needle and with your bobbin. And we'll use those ends to sew your mitered clothes and to tie off your stitches, because you don't want to have to back stitch when you're resetting this back in. So now my threads are cut, and you want to create your miter. So you're going to just fold your miter and put a pin in, and you just need to grab just the top edge, and you'll have to pull these pins out before you begin. So there's the pin on the top, and then the pin on the back side. Again, just a little bit, because you need to take this pin out before you start sewing. Oh, this one popped out, didn't grab enough fabric. See, that's actually a good shot there, because you can see there's my fold and there's my miter. So close that up, and just little bit of a pin, okay, just to hold it in place. And now you're going to pull the excess through your back through your binder, and get it under the presser foot, and go through the presser foot a little bit, just so that it starts to create that fold again, and make sure that everything is flowing smoothly. Lower the presser foot down onto your quilt and lower your needle. Everything's now held in place, so you want to remove your pins. Make sure you get the one out from in behind. Okay? And hold on to your threads in back. And away we go. Now we're coming up and finish going around the whole entire quilt, fast and easy. Now we're coming up to where we left off. So we're going to stop. You can do your back stitch on your machine. That'll do a lock stitch. And you need to remove your quilt and fabric and everything from the machine. You want to make sure you leave yourself enough length. Chop it off. And now what we need to do is cut off where you started. So cut close. Front and back. We're going to cover all that up, so it doesn't matter if it's neat or not. Don't need it too long. So there's my beginning and there's my end. Okay, so I removed the binder and the plate and replaced it with my A-foot. And I've got my pieces, they're folded. So you're just folding your edges under, pinning them into place, tucking your raw edges in, put in a pin or two if you like. I've actually got pins. I'm going to show you the back. I've got a couple of pins on the back. So I'm not pinning through all of the layers. I'm just pinning just the binding on the back. I've just tucked my raw edges under, and there's my pins there, and away I go. Of course, you want to remove the pins as you get to them. Stop with your needle down. I'm going to just pull the pins out from underneath on the back. auto lock. And you're done. There you go. I'm going to just show you the back. Done. And now what I would do is I would do my corners. I would take my threads, my long threads that I had at each corner, my bobbin thread and my needle thread, and sew those in and just close up that mitered bit.